and free thinking. Um, seems simple enough. English words. I'm sure if you're watching this and found me, you can speak English and you can understand when open your mind and think freely means. But I really wanted to get into the depth of what free thinking was and understand that your thought processes are probably in just this little repetitive cycle based on your social so-called reality that you're in, meaning that first of all, most of us are constantly in tune with the monkey chatter in our head, and it's just constantly going on. Say if you're sitting there and you're watching TV, some kind of thought will pop in, like, oh, it's time for dinner, or it's I got a lot going on tomorrow. Ooh, I've had a rough day. You'll think about, oh, someone on TV may you trigger subconscious memory. They may look similar to someone so you'll think about that person. It'll pop in your head. You didn't make it, just pop in your head. You wasn't like, oh, think that. It just did. Then you realized that it happened, and you went with it because you just in tune with the monkey chatter. And so that's always going on, just constant going on. And that's what your reality will consist of, because those things coming at you is what you call your mind, your thinking, whatever. But what is your mind? Your thinking process. The mind is nothing more than a mirror, a reflection of your experience. Everything is just coming at you, and everything you've been around is just all stored up here. I can't just remember any specific point of my life all the time until I specifically try to remember that, or someone asks me, what I did for my whatever birthday, or what I did, 10 years ago on a certain day. Then I can think back and try to pick it out. But those things, so where is it? There's just this recycling of just constant chatter that's just surrounding every and anything you've ever done, whether you're aware of it, if it wasn't even an important part of what you were doing at that time, just a background piece of whatever. It's recorded and it's there. It's always there. And it's just when it comes to another relevant or a close scenario, it spits it right back at you to accept that piece of thought, that information again, and apply it to what you've been. You can call that the learning process. When you read a book, you're not just and it's for a big test tomorrow. You're not just constantly thinking. Sure, you're going to think about the things that you think you need to learn the most, but you're not just thinking about it as a whole until the next day when you try to pinpoint each little piece back. There's a great depth to it. It's constant chatter that could be detrimental. People think that they're so free and they have all these things, and just it blows my mind to see how people can be so simple. Think about that for just a second. The thoughts coming back. What is that? Where are these thoughts coming from? Of course, like I said, that they're coming from your surroundings, whether your parent, teacher, whoever, someone has taught you these things, and they're spitting themselves back at you constantly. And you have to, instead of just applying yourself and going with it, you have to totally sit back and view what's throwing itself back up. Because you can't keep identifying yourself with each one of those thoughts and thinking that's you or that's something that applies. Just sit back and watch them and just see what happens. Just see what happens when you start watching what thoughts pop into your head. It's absolutely amazing. You start to see how ridiculous some things actually are. Just think. And that's all it takes, is just to think and be totally conscious of what you're thinking about. And don't just believe anything people tell you. No matter if if their parents told them and their parents told them, it doesn't make sense until you think about it for yourself. All of your great gurus back to the Buddha. It very clearly tells you, don't believe what I'm saying. Take it, do your and experience life and think for yourself, because it's all about the self. And when you're caught up in this thought process in this little social circle that's only based on the surroundings of that area for the last decades, centuries, you'll be caught in that and you'll think that's the only way, that's the only real. Not only will you be consumed in it, you'll think whatever the social opposite of that, those people are either against you or it's wrong or there's that. There's no right, there's no wrong, there's no whatever you want to call it. I'm not talking about moral things that people should, obviously we're an evolved species that is conscious of what we're doing, and we can realize, what's right, what's wrong as far as a moral aspect. We'll all agree there's certain things, we should do or shouldn't do. But as a whole, there's no right or wrong. It doesn't matter. There's just like one of my favorite people to listen to, Alan Watts, says, have you ever seen a misshapen cloud? And like, absolutely not. You haven't, because that doesn't exist. That doesn't even make sense. Sure, sometimes you lay back and try to see what you can make out of a cloud, but there's no misshape. You're not like, oh, that's a bad one. It doesn't matter. It's just doing it. And that's what we're doing. We're just doing it. But when you're caught up in this thought process, you're not able to see that we're just the universe experiencing itself. You're not able to see that because you're caught up in this person and your surroundings that you think is you, and that's all there is. Now, as we are this human person in this mind, as we are this, I'm not saying it's not real to an extent. It's a real illusion of an experience. But I can hear that, I can feel that. You can break it down to the my fingers, the senses, or it's all like whatever. It's an experience, but it's not to be caught up in, because there is more out there. There is a whole vast of just beauty and just life. And I'm not saying there's not multi-dimensional or transcendence or this and that, but that's not exactly what I'm talking about right now. Is just the freedom of being the observer, seeing the just small things that people get caught up in and believe or stand for, and just live life. I'm talking about living life outside of that little thought process, so you don't feel like you have to identify with or stand for this, or you don't have to pick a political party or a religion or a this or a that. You can just live. You don't have to worry about anything else. You can just live life, love, and be happy, because that's the only thing it's important that we should do. People are like, what's the purpose of life? The purpose of life, what is it? What do you mean? Like, we have it. Make the best of it. That's the purpose. The universe has figured out a way for it to go out and experience its own beauty. And I think it's the most beautiful thing, that as a whole, we can have our own individual experience within. But the key is seeing that's what's going on, not being caught up in some kind of faith or some kind of BS or some kind of something that's telling you different, because it's all false, it's all fake. Anyone claiming that they have all the answers and that they know absolutely every single thing is either just lying to you or just on a misled path at their self too, because no one knows. I promise you, no one knows. You can have experiences, and the more, if you want to talk about meditation, transcend, there's experiences there to have. There's all kinds of beauty all around the world, all in the world. We are the world. We're everything that you have to see, you feel. You can't just keep thinking that you're just this one person that has this one thing to do and you better do it. Life's more than trying to worry about this 9 to 5 that, you got to get this and you got to do that. And I'm not saying go out and quit your jobs and, you and your family will be out on the streets hungry and all that. I'm saying you got to do what you got to do. You know what I mean? The cavemen back in the day, they had to go out and hunt all day. People, if you want to say, have animals or they have whatever. Now you got grocery stores, so you ain't got to go out and find food, but you got to buy the food. Whether that's a greed or whether it's beyond. I'm just saying there's certain things that you have to do to survive, and that's all of this is outside. You hear the saying, live to work, don't do it. Live to work, don't work to live. that's the beauty of being outside the thought process, because you can see what that actually means. And all you have to do is start questioning what you think you know, and just start thinking. Just start thinking. Um, you'll never see freedom until you totally freed your thought process and get out of this little social environment of whatever that you think is all there is, and see what's going on. Realize when those thoughts, when that monkey chatter goes, try to think about, sit back and just listen. Just don't identify yourself with it. Just listen to what it is, because it's just a reflection of your experience. Like I said, you're not making those thoughts happen, so why should you identify yourself with them and judge yourself even for having them sometimes? Or just what, it doesn't matter. It's just a chaos. It's just a whatever. It doesn't matter. It's just entertaining once you can sit back and view it. That's just even more depth, the beauty of life and being able to experience it. It's here, and the beauty of it's being able to experience it. So why not experience the full depth of it? If things are bad for you, don't ignore them. Don't do that. It's common sense. Like, live life, live, love, healthy. Just experience all you can experience. And if there's things out there, why not see them all? Open your mind, stop living simple, and happiness will come. Because as happy as you think you might be, that's only just a small open window to compared to just the vast open doors that are out there. It's absolutely unreal. And I just want to take anything I can from my life and help someone else see it. Because like I said, if I could just just tell someone this is what it is, blah blah blah, then that's just it would contradict everything I just said, and people wouldn't believe it anyways. So there's no point. Just little questions and little facts I can throw up to hopefully make you start questioning what you said or what you think, and watch those little thoughts and don't identify with them. And I promise you, within almost no matter of time, you'll clearly be able to see how you're not those thoughts and not that person. And at that time, we'll be ready for a little more in-depth video. Thanks for watching. If you did, haven't made a video in the last year or so. I hope to get a few more out. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Got some good ideas I want to put out. Just try to help people. Thanks.